that space was deemed commercial, and like every other city in town, we need the commercial space. And the other swaths of commercial space are just along 139 by the highway, runs up until about Lowe's, and then the other swath is 53 from the Hanover line right until 139 turns off. Now, other than some sporadic businesses and a few industrial buildings here and there, that's it in town. The rest is residential. So Pembroke does not have a lot of commercial space. Now, as far as attracting commercial space or working with the businesses that we do have in town, the center of town was a big concern. It was a big concern when the planning board, along with the master planning committee, developed a master plan for town. So that is what you need. You need a master plan to develop 5-year, what you have now, 5-year plan, 10-year plan, project out to 25 years. We've done that. I've done that. I was on the planning board when we developed the master plan. We took the residents' ideas, and one of the key things that the residents wanted was the general statement, I want to keep Pembroke a rural town, a pleasant town. That was one of the key things that came out of the comments of the master plan. And another one of the comments was that they wanted to do something with the center of town. They wanted to do something with the center plaza in particular. Yeah. And it just was outdated, and I'm being kind. They wanted to do something about that. Well, I took that to heart. Me and the rest of the planning board knew something had to be done. The residents wanted it. It was a private business, though. You can't force a private business to change, to spend money and change because of the town's whims. Well, we negotiated with that particular owner, and we came to certain agreements. He wanted to develop it. He wanted to put some capital investment in his property, but he needed help. He needed help from the planning board. And what the planning board had to do was we had to change zoning. So I got up in town meeting floor with the rest of the planning board and argued for zoning changes to help this particular property out, so that he can do the changes, that not only that he wanted to, but what the town wanted. So it was a win-win for everyone, and I was among the people that helped push that through. That was one key ingredient to getting it done. There were some other negotiations and concessions, both on the town's part and the developer's part, and he has a plan in place, as Lou said, that's a very, very nice, almost beautiful looking center of town. Now, there will be a CVS in the corner, as there are in many towns, and that's not as bad as it may seem. It's very tastefully designed, because the planning board is also a center protection district entity, and we make sure that anything being built in the center of town has a certain feel being a colonial clapboard shingled building. And we developed that from insights and suggestions that the citizens gave us, and we filtered that down to what we wanted on the planning board. So along with all those zoning changes that we pushed through, negotiations and concessions, very soon you're going to see a brand new center plaza with expanded roadways, all due to a master plan that not only thinks about today, but into the future. Okay, thank you.
I want to go back to the beginning. We spoke a bit about the financial crisis that towns are facing in general. The town, Pembroke, and any town can expect less money in local aid than last year. Either a lot less or a lot less, I think. I mean, the House budget is, I believe, is about $75,000. Would reduce general government aid by about $675,000 for the town. But what I want to discuss, I know I brought this up in the newspaper, but is at what point do you start having to think about additional revenue? At what point do you think that a town like Pembroke, or any town in fact, has to start talking about overrides, debt exclusions, even simply lobbying the state government to permit different forms of local revenue? No, have we reached that point? Is it possible we're going to reach that point sometime in the near future? James?
Well, I mean, revenue is an important issue, and the town's always looking for it. Like I said, we usually go with not my backyard mentality, especially in the past with a few different water tower situations to build one. I believe there's one on the Duxbury line that had to get taken care of. But, I mean, when you go into the override situation, really what I've been pushing for is we have to change the way that we think about taxing and overrides within the community. Overrides in the past, they've never passed. And the reasoning is because, everything's thrown at you as general expenses. It's huge. It's 1.3 million, farther up than that. And then people go to the town meeting, they see this, and it's thrown at them. They see everything, and it's a yes or no vote. You have to differentiate and really diversify what you want to give to the community. I mean, if there's a new position that has to be added or needing more money for this, then break it down to several overrides. Marion does it quite well. And, when you hear, when you talk to people over in Marion and you hear what they have to say about overrides, it's not a situation of like, oh, yes, we defeated the evil town with 2.5 overrides. It's not a situation. It's like, oh, an override. Well, what's it about? I mean, is it something worthwhile that we should look into? And, exclusions on that side of it they're temporary, but they're usually for larger, for capital projects in the community. We use them for the school systems. We were trying to do it for municipal, the beautification of municipal buildings like the community center and whatnot. But, I mean, as with anything else, revenue is a big part. We may need
Can I stop in right there?
Sure.
Because the Prop 2.5 overrides, any that have been in town, you don't understand. Any time there's been a Proposition 2.5 override, it's for a specific issue laid out, the town meeting floor, debated by the citizens of town on town meeting floor before it's even put to the vote for the town election. There's transparency, and it's laid out exactly what is being overrided and what it's being overrided for. So your premise that people don't know what they're voting on is misguided at best.
Yeah, it's not misguided when you want to look at it by piece. I mean, you have, it's one giant package, whether or not you discuss every single piece with it or not, and the voters have to make a choice over a yes or no on the entire thing. If you break it down into several pieces and you give the voters an option, you take that huge override that's a yes or no vote in the entire package and you break it down into each individual article each individual subject that you probably discussed during the town meeting and give everyone a vote on those individuals. It would take longer, but it would give people more choice in what they want their money to going towards.
Okay. Lou, you want to add anything to this?
Yeah, I don't think Pembroke has proposed an override in many years. And I know everybody in the town government that I've attended meetings, that's the last thing they want to talk about. And that's why they've worked so hard to come up with a game plan to keep us away from that. And that doesn't mean it's not around the corner because we don't know all the answers. But the state is also talking about doing a 1% increase on the meals tax. They're talking about a gasoline tax. They're talking about a 1% sales tax. Now these are all floating out there. No one has really put it on paper and tried to vote on it yet. But I think if they do that, now we aren't going to have anything to say about it. It's going to be the people that we've elected to go to Beacon Hill. It's going to make that decision. And if the governor signs it into law, each of those packages are going to make more money available for the cities and towns. So I'm not saying I'm for it. I'm just saying there are other things in the works. And I mentioned before, the Cash Management Committee have done a fabulous job, and they're right on top of this. And matter of fact, we're going to have an emergency meeting either Wednesday or Thursday of next week to give us some